Thanks for checking in on another afternoon wood. Gonna jump into some Pay Me No Mind TV. Just really compelled by how badly FX's The Old Man, how badly it got in just over the course of like 2 or 3 episodes. After the first 2 episodes, I was very big on the show. It had all the great It had all the great reviews from all of the prominent publications or outlets. It's critically acclaimed and everything. It still has like an 85% fan score on Rotten Tomatoes. But the last couple of weeks in episodes, I think 4 and 5, uh, the show really slowed down. And one thing, I'll say one thing, and it's kind of a risky or questionable move to make for these shows. But like I said, I think these various shows do some of it. They have these elements in the presentation that they think it's a cool new way to tell a show, or it's something signature about the show that makes it stand out. Um, and in this one, they rely on the flashbacks a lot, and maybe to a point to its detriment. Maybe it's off-putting for people. And I saw this. I said this in same thing is going on right now on Amazon with the Terminal List with Chris Pratt. 4 or 5 episodes in, it's flashback, flashback, flashback. Um, we're getting a lot of flashback here that's being used. I think this is what's called exposition, but using the flashbacks of what happened in the 80s or something when Dan Chase was over in Afghanistan, I believe is where it was, and how him and his wife met, and this Amzad cat that we haven't seen in modern day in the show. It's another. Oh, it was a lot of flashbacks in Ptolemy Gray that was on Apple TV Plus with Samuel L. Jackson um, and Dominique Fishback. But like I said, when you keep relying on these types of tools to aid in the storytelling, at some point in time, I think you just run the risk of pissing. What's up, Jelly Bean? You salute to you as well. But you just run the risk of pissing off your viewers who especially when the storyline itself slows down to the way that the old man has slowed down. Like we're thinking, we know he's being hunted, and like the hunt kind of just like cools off totally. After the actor, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but the African cat, like a contract killer, or he's not a U.S. government. He's just kind of like an independent contractor. But he went to go kill him. It went wrong for him. It was a confrontation. I called a brother Chris Partlow from The Wire, but he ended up getting shot. He had a bulletproof vest on. Dan Chase gets away. Jeff Bridges. He takes Zoe with him. Amy Brenneman. And then nothing happened. No more, the FBI or CIA, whoever the hell is after him, Harold Harper, John Lithgow. The team hasn't locked in on what his location is and what he's doing. So it's like, what the hell are we doing here? And the show gets into the second thing that I think is hurting it. Some people might say it's excellent dialogue. It's very well written, and it gives the characters a chance to really do some solid acting and some dramatic, acting and whatnot. But it's these long ass conversations that might be a little too dramatic, might be a little over the top. Like nobody would it just sounds too contrived. Like you talk to people in everyday life, nobody talks to one another like this. One example would be the conference. There's two examples. When I think it was episode 4, when Dan Chase comes back to their condo or whatever, their apartment, and Zoe has completely flipped the script on him and tells him, I want half your money for me to be quiet, or I'm going to proceed. Because she has this new alias now as Marsha Dixon or something, and is now his wife in this new life that he created for her now that they're both on the run. And the way that all of this stuff happened was just so quick. Like, and we didn't see any of it like happen on the screen, really. I don't know. I feel like the devil is always in the details, and in doing some of this, they've skipped some of these important details that may have been more interesting than these drawn out, long ass conversations where they talk about, or they're setting up what they're gonna do. While all of the action has kind of disappeared, everything is just happening to these long ass conversations. But what Zoe did was, like, she wants her life. She's upset that her life has been uprooted, and now she's essentially lost her identity. There is a possibility that she may not be able to have any further contact with her son. And so she rebels, and goes and says, well, I'm gonna send this email that's gonna create all of this uproar, or bring attention to your company that's worth or managing billions of dollars in assets and whatnot. You really can't afford that. So either pay me half of your money, your net worth, or I send this email and start this divorce proceedings. So it puts Dan Chase in a bad position, and he doesn't really have the time to try to like outmaneuver her or kill her. It's basically make her disappear altogether. But she said the email was like gonna be automatically sent if she didn't stop it in like an hour or two. And they, like I said, they had this big conversation about, Dan Chase is like, what the hell did you do? Why did you turn on me like this? I helped you out, although I ruined your life, but you're really gonna like where I'm taking you anyway, because you have these cloak and dagger type skills that you never knew you had. But now all of a sudden, in the course of like 72 hours, you can be a world-class operator in the space of international espionage. And so it just goes all over the place. Then meanwhile, on the other side, and because it slowed down and these conversations got too lengthy and too much emphasis was put on that, and maybe my attention dwindled a little bit, I really don't know if I saw how the creators told us that Dan Chase's daughter, Emily, who was also Angie or Angela, who works under John Lithgow's Harold Harper, I don't know if I ever saw that she tipped off her father that the hitman, the contract killer, was coming for him. Then they doubled down on what they're not showing us in real time. When the contract killer comes back and tells Harold Harper that, you have a mole in your office and it almost got me killed, immediately he comes to the conclusion that it's Angela. I don't know how he put that together that quickly, unless just because of the fact that they have a very personal relationship. She spends the night at his house sometimes, or is involved with helping to watch his grandson or whatever. Maybe he just arrives at the conclusion that she's the only person around me. But she didn't know any of that. Like, she didn't know about that Harold went and visited the older retired guy, whatever his name is, they didn't show her like, or did they? Like telling him to get to the house to understand what conversation was had in that room when he gave him the phone number to contract the killer or contact the contract killer. So it's just these things that are happening that they don't really show you how it happened for you to really believe in it. And I don't like when shows kind of take the liberty to kind of like speed things along and just leave out crucial details. But anyway, as they jump on this airplane to go see Amzad across overseas, and Lithgow's, Harold now knows that Angela is the mole. And he knows that Angela is Dan Chase's daughter, but he doesn't know what to do because right now he's on the clock with resolving this problem. And he doesn't really know if it helps him out to do anything to Angela versus, it's a way to keep your enemies closer. So they get on this airplane, and I guess the writing was pretty good when, they had been in the air 5 hours or something, and there hadn't been any communication, no conversation between the two. And so Angie tells this joke, and it's a story about a mother who lost their son, some kind of tsunami or flood or whatever. And she prays for her son to be returned to her, and something happens. God answers the prayer, and some bird goes into the water and brings the son back. And the punchline was that the mother looked up to God and was like, well, my son had a cap. Like, overlooking the fact that, I saved your son, but you didn't, the way that you helped me, he came back without his cap. Like, you didn't do enough. And after Harold confronts her that I don't even know what to call you right now, are you Angela or are you Emily? And he lets her know that she's burnt, her cover is burnt, and that she's broken all of these laws, and she's a criminal now. But he still has some kind of relationship with her that, like I said, he doesn't know whether to report this, because it makes it's a bad look for him, right? So it's like, maybe I gotta overlook this and keep you in the mix because it makes me look bad. It hurts me. But she comes back moments later to remind him that, she tries to soften it and say, well, my father put me here for various reasons, but all I've done is be loyal to you, and I've tried to be and act as a mentee to you and to make you proud and to take on and to take in all the tutelage that you've given me over the course of our relationship. Like, you can still trust me. And so we're left here as the audience, like, we don't know where this relationship goes. And then Harold tries to salvage it like, hey, well, do me a favor and take me to your father, and maybe me and him can talk this out and work together on it. That's kind of put on the table. But what Angela comes back and says is like, I'm still the person I am before you revealed to me that you really know who I am. And she says a line, she references the joke that she told about the hat. She says, well, now you don't look at me the same because I lost my hat. So I thought that was some good writing. And I watched it twice to even catch what that whole scene was all about. I had to go back and watch it again because the episode just it was a wasted episode in my opinion. But anyway, once they arrive at this location, Harold kind of understands or puts pieces together what country they might be in and why they're there. But again, we're kind of being dragged along with this, and the people over in this new land, wherever they're at with this airplane, this private jet, they go into some building that has records in there, And Harold automatically knows what he should be doing there. And of course, Angela is just watching him like, well, what are we doing here? What's going on? Where are we? And why do you seem to know what to do? And I'm clueless here. And Harold is like, well, they want to know if I really know what I told them I know. So I got to find this flight log to tell them how we helped Dan Chase and Amzad's wife, then wife, leave the country. So it just all kind of works together to set up what I guess will be a confrontation between, it'll be a showdown between Amzad, and he thinks by bringing Harold overseas to him, that maybe it's gonna pull. He's either gonna get the information he needs to get to Dan Chase, or it's gonna pull Dan Chase out of the shadows and set up this confrontation. Meanwhile, Dan Chase and Zoe become teammates, even though he hates her guts for taking half of his money. But like I said, he doesn't have time to deal with that. His main focus is trying to protect his daughter, who he asked her not to get on the plane with Harper, but she did. And so now he's trying to get over to Morocco, is where he says they're flying to. But now he convinces Zoe to just like totally abandon her life. Here's your money. I gave you the money that you wanted, but come with me and help me out, because you can read people and you can help me. You can help my cause, which is highly unbelievable, highly unbelievable. But that's where we are. One thing that a lot of fans made note of is that the two Rottweilers, they got dropped off. They couldn't make the flight over to Morocco. So they got left with like a very expensive or high-end kennel service. I'm guessing that was in Los Angeles. Dan I think he uses Zoe, but she just doesn't know it. But he uses her, in my opinion, to go in and negotiate this deal with one of his business partners to make this investment, I guess, that's necessary to set up cover for him to take this international trip and set up some kind of meeting, and like allows him to move internationally without kind of sending up signals that is really him. He can go overseas as this I forget his name, but it's Dixon, and he's the owner of this company. Henry Dixon, I think, is the name. So she goes and finagles, gets the guy, it's like his investment specialist or something. But she convinces him that, hey, we need you to make this investment happen. We need you to do it by the morning. And the guy didn't want to do it. When Dan Chase directed him to do it, he had all of these questions. I gotta be fiscally responsible or whatever, and that's a risky move. How do you know that this is a good investment for us? He's asking all these questions, and Dan is just like, man, I asked you to move the money over here and make this play. And so anyway, Zoe goes and talks to the guy, gets it done. They go to the airport to get on this plane to set us up for the season finale. And now everybody's going to be overseas. And like I said, a lot of us, we've just kind of, the action kind of went away. We've been watching all of these damn flashbacks of how the relationship was started between Dan Chase and the wife who left to Afghanistan, man, who's now pissed off 25 something years later. And, now we got to figure out, is this going to bring us face to face, or is it going to bring our two major characters face to face, and Dan Chase and Faraz Amzad? And so like I said, man, the show started off excellent. It's got this great look to it, the way that it's shot. It's over the top with the with the overseas locales and then Los Angeles in the backdrop. Um, it looks like high quality TV or like a Jason Bourne type situation, international espionage and whatnot. It's easy, it's guns, hand to hand combat. It's all this stuff that would draw the average guy in. But like I said, it's kind of lost itself a little bit, and it's unfortunate. So I saw some people come in. I read some viewers' comments and whatnot. Some people, they gave episodes 1 through 3, 1 through 4. They were very big on those and gave them 10, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, and whatnot. But then, like I said, we've hit this last episode. Kind of didn't work for a lot of people, and it started getting repetitive and whatnot, and just dragging us along. So some people were out. Some people have just downgraded their view on the show. Some people are critical. Once the action slows down and the interest starts to dwindle, people start honing in on the shortcomings of the show, and it's taking its lumps right now. But hopefully they can give us a decent season finale. It is only 6 episodes. We'll see what happens. But like I said, man, it was kind of great TV briefly, and then it went bad. And we'll see, can these guys get it together. Hey, my name is Wood. Appreciate you for rocking with me. I'll be very interested to know, if anybody else is watching the show, what you think, where you are with it. What's your disappointment level? Or do you foresee there being some kind of major payoff for you to stay, tuned in? I said this last week with The Shining Girls was another show that did a lot of flashbacks, a lot of jumping around with the timeline, but that was kind of central to the story itself. But but that started taking away from the show, and they couldn't kind of. But like I said, that was kind of a science fiction thriller, so not a great apples to apples comparison. But like I said, it's just these little quirks in each show, like how they use what elements they use to tell the story and keep things rolling along, and kind of inform you of the what you need to know about the premise of the show. And I don't know. I guess we'll learn what we need to learn. Like, why the hell is this Amzad guy? What made his wife leave with this American dude? Which we learned something about. She was kind of compromised, being the wife of this guy who was a potential future leader of Afghanistan. She may have been contacted and recruited by the Russians. So we're getting bits and pieces of the background, but many of us might be asking, like, why does this show matter to us anymore? It's a valid question at this point. Yeah, my name is Wood. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Enjoy the rest of your week. Peace.